Life is full of unexpected moments. I have plenty of stories to tell where things happen that I could have never prepared myself for and which have become some of the worst moments in my life. This is the story of the time I fainted. It was my first trip going to a doctor for big kids, having gone to my local pediatrics place before then. Make no mistake though, I was a full-grown adult at the time. Everything during the checkup had gone well, and the last part of the appointment was to get my blood drawn. Before this time, I'd only ever had a finger prick, which collected a sample of blood in a container no bigger than an inch or so. This time they were going into my arm and were going to collect 2 vials worth. Sorry for all the details to those of you who are squeamish, but it's important to know just how unprepared I was for this change. Still, despite my nerves, I played it cool and got it done. I felt pretty solid afterwards as well and wanted to keep up the image that everything was totally fine because for a few minutes everything was. And then things started to go downhill. For me, it didn't happen like it does in the movies, where you drop down fully unconscious. I actually wish that's what happened because instead, I felt every function of my body slowly start to shut down. The best thing I can compare it to is drowning. I've thankfully never done that, but that slow sinking feeling is exactly how I felt. First, I started to get dizzy. I was able to stay standing when my mom scheduled a new appointment, but I was dizzy enough to where I couldn't move. Next, I had a very prominent ringing in my ear, and my ears clogged up like I was underwater. Lastly, my vision started to get blurry as if I had taken my goggles off while swimming. I still somehow thought I could play it off because I'd never fainted before, so I didn't know what was going on. I asked my mom if I could have the keys so I could sit in the car, and that's the last thing I said before I blacked out. I'm still not exactly sure how long I was out for. Right after it happened, I could have sworn I was conscious the whole time, but my mom said the nurses were asking me questions to test me, and I don't remember any of them. I was leaning on her until they sat me down in a wheelchair, and that's when I started to come back to it. I started being able to answer their questions as they wheeled me back to one of the rooms. My mom said I smiled a lot, and I remember doing that so I could show everyone that it was fine, even though I definitely didn't look it. I tried to confidently stand on my own as they laid me down on the bed, but that was still a struggle. But after laying for a few minutes, I felt back to normal. Clearly, I was unprepared to get my blood drawn that day. I didn't hydrate and my body just couldn't take it. So quick PSA, make sure you're prepared before any sort of medical anything so you don't end up like me. Our bodies sure do amazing things. I'm so grateful for all the tiny cells and organisms that fight off viruses for me or keep me alive while I sleep, but it's a real scary thing when your body starts to take over and you can do nothing but succumb to it. I know my body was trying to protect me, but a little warning the day before would have been nice. So if you can imagine, I don't like going to the doctor. I never did before, but I naturally developed a real fear of fainting again. It was a horrible experience and I wouldn't recommend it.